Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight in what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, because I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Corey Buchan, happy Tuesday, everyone. He says, I got a guest that I'm going to bring up here in a second, you guys, but just do a little bit of a recap here. I dropped a new podcast this morning with my friends over at Freight 360, Nate Cross and Ben Kowalski. You guys, we talked about freight, the fundamentals of freight brokerage, right? And then, you know, because it's constantly brought up about the courses and where do I seek mentorship and everything else. And it is a great start to listen to that podcast to kind of snuff out a lot of the garbage that is out there, you guys, because there are some straight predatory things that go on in this industry. And I just want to help people sift through all of that. But that's our quick recap here. Sonny Sharma, Orange Shirt Gang, let's get it. He says, Stephen Tittle, good morning. Let's go. All right, you guys, I got a guest. We're going to bring him up here. And he's been on the show before. He's Colorado's finest, is what they say. Denver's finest. My man, Dan Helmet, back in the house. Dan, what is up?
Nothing. I'm just Denver through and through. Got a vest, waffle shirt, a Subaru, yoga mats, yellow lab, everything.
Are you drinking craft coffee right now as well?
Kombucha.
Oh, dude.
I mean, okay. You can't get more Colorado.
I'm actually
got edibles yesterday. Like, it's just straight through.
Oh man, I love it. I forgot to take mine. But I am drinking my mocktail, aka coffee, out of this brand new Flex cup that I got sent over to me here. What's Flex, man? You guys are releasing a pretty big rebrand and everything going on out here.
Yeah. So HubTech's the parent company. We have Tally Connect. That's primarily what I focus on. Well, our staffing line is rebranded through Talent Tech. New logo, new branding, just released today, corresponding with they're rolling out some really cool stuff. They're adapting their process a bit, because we've seen the industry's changing, requirements of customers are changing. So we got to adapt with it. So two really cool things. One is Flex. It's completely different than what has been done historically in the staffing, nearshore staffing world. Because, there's people, nearshore staffing is more efficient, but it's still not pure efficient, still throwing bodies at things. And so they're approaching it on more of a process level to where, all right, you don't need dedicated resources to do this process. They will put together a team, design the process with you, and complete it. And you basically pay for the end result. So let's say it's a $15 million brokerage. They don't want to burn their people out with night dispatch with a rotating cell phone. But they don't have enough work for dedicated full-time 3 employees to do it. Well, they can go to Flex. They'll map out the process. They'll handle all the night dispatch calls, and they only get charged for the calls they handle. So it's more like a transactional base.
Dang.
We go with the peaks and valleys and kind of scale as needed.
Dude, I actually really like that a lot. As you're kind of growing and scaling, because that's something that we're going through right now inside of my brokerage, right? Is we're looking for, dialers at the end of the day, man. We're looking for business development reps to go out there because, I do all of the sales in our company right now. And my business partner does as well. But we want to get more and more refined in there because it's I'm making at least 65 outreaches a day, every single day, on top of the freight that we're moving, on top of the media shit that I do every single day. So it's we're looking for more because anybody out there who's actually selling right now and has been for the last 15 months knows how challenging it is to develop business. I mean, it's hard in any market, but especially right now. So we're like, how do we get more exposure out there to at least get somebody dialing as well? Because if freight comes up, I don't want to look back and be like, damn, I didn't get my 15 to 20 cold calls in today because we had freight to move. And then I'm like, we're falling behind. And then, you're talking about that add-on value of, hey, as you need it, as somebody who's building a business, that speaks directly to my heart on how do I effectively build my company up if I can't take on the salary of a $50,000, $60,000 a year role to do all of that stuff.
100%. 100%. And it's really like, we saw what happens over this past year. Freight was booming, companies ballooned, freight dropped, and they're laying people off right and left. Yeah. Nobody likes laying people off. No one likes it if it's your W-2 employees. No one likes it if it's a nearshore team because they're part of your team. And so this allows it. So when that boom happens again, you can just scale up with it and then scale back down, and no one's losing their job.
Yeah.
No, so we'll put people behind it. We'll put tech behind it to streamline, to be a lot more efficient and kind of crowdsource it. Also, it's creating efficicy, significant.
Yeah. I think that, you're right. I don't know of anybody who truly enjoys having to lay people off and you go in there and because at the end of the day, a business is a business. It's an expense, like I view it as an investment to train, hire and grow my company and everything. But at the end of the day, when it comes to layoffs, man, they look at it as a line item. They're like, all right, this person, you're out, you make too much money. We're going to take all the reality is they're like, we're going to take all your accounts. We're going to lay you off. And so like, that's just what kind of happens out there. And I think though, that from this perspective, what you're describing here is because like, that's my biggest fear, honestly, Dan, as a business owner is I'm going to hire 5 people and I'm going to have to lay 3 of them off because of whatever happens. Right. And because I always tell me, and I've told you this, like I have an audacious goal of having $3 million per seat is what I want to look from a revenue perspective, not so Chris can make more money from that perspective, but how do I give my team the tools to maximize their output so they can make the most money? Because I'll never have cap commissions for my sales reps ever. I will gladly stroke $1 million checks to you, gladly at the end of the day. I want all of my people to be motivated from that. But I also, if I want to hire, if I only need 5 people, I want to hire 5, the right 5, as opposed to bringing on 10 to 15 and then hoping 5 work out.
100%. 100%. Yeah. It's just, companies do get a lot of crap for laying people off, but no one likes it. It's not good. Like it's no one enjoys that. And so this allows, just people to be able to scale, grow as needed. Because especially like that, when you're a brokerage and you're growing, I feel like that $15 million mark, maybe $20 million, I think is one of the hardest hurdles to get over because you got a good sized book of business. You got a lot of people, you got a lot of people underneath you. You have money coming in. You need to invest to get that next jump, but money's still tight. Yeah. And so like you have to be really cautious about those investments, and that kind of is just going to help ease and get over those humps.
Well, dude, it's like you're bringing up, and this isn't, I didn't think we were going to go in this direction this morning, but you bring up a great point on why being an agent is so efficient, right? Because out of all the people that I know that have started freight brokerages from scratch, it's the early expenses of I need to hire accounting, I need to build out my back office, and let's call it what it is. They're not revenue producing roles. And when you're in that building phase, people look at it from that perspective. I fortunately don't have to, because with SPI and being an agent with them, man, they have a fully mature back office. I got everything that I need. I can just sell, operate, and grow, and then hire my operations and sales staff and grow that out from that perspective. But, because it is, man, you're going to hit those plateaus in your business where you're like, hey, I'm at 10 million. I got 10 employees or 8 employees or whatever that looks like. I need to grow, but I don't have the resources. And then you're scrambling because you're like, well, now you're looking at your P&L. Well, this customer accounts for 65% of our revenue. If something happens here, then all of these people are out. There's, those are real conversations that I'm sure you guys probably have on the daily in your guys' operation.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's like, and you're also balancing as you're doing the scaling, because a lot of times when you're scaling like that as a smaller company, you're doing it by just brute force. You're taking on the workload and you're just hammering things through. You'll have tech behind the scenes and helping with that, but it's just a lot of work. And so you have a limited size team, potentially limited budget. And so the only way to do is kind of push a little more on your team, risk burnout, risk them leaving. Because I know like the last brokerage I ran, when we were about that $20 million mark, we didn't have enough resources for night dispatch, but we moved a lot of produce, so you need it. And so we just did a rotating cell phone, which worked well. People volunteered. They made some extra money. But if a broker had a really crappy night, he was just wiped the next day. Like he's completely worthless, and it's hurting revenue then. So it's endless. It's a vicious cycle.
Dude, it really is, right? But, you know, again, this is why the more and more I talk about building up a business and everything, I really want to emphasize, like, there's no clear path to success. There's no, follow these 10 steps and you're going to be successful. And but from my perspective, though, there's success does leave clues, excuse me. And there are certain patterns that you can follow out there. Like I would like, you got to talk to people, right? Like with the advancements in technology out there right now, you don't need 3 people to process an invoice, right? You don't need 3 people to do track and trace or anything else. There's so much automation that you can play in it, because obviously I'm a massive fan of automating the stuff that should be automated, right? Like a lot of the menial back office tasks of updating loads and placing check calls and everything else. Like that shouldn't be what you're investing in during the day. You already have the driver on tracking. Why do you need somebody? If you can see them moving, why are you having people out there blowing these drivers' phones up, right? I want to do as much as I possibly can. And then on top of it, business development, right? Like you need to quote everything you possibly can. So I was actually, because, this is what I love the most about when you and I talk is, when you guys are talking about your quoting and, you're with Tabby and getting that information out there. I actually went through all of my emails, my sales quotes here, Dan, for the last 3 days. Guess what my response time with a rate sent to my customer was?
For all your sales reps?
For Chris Jolly. I'm not.
For just you.
Yeah, for just me.
I would say you go get them. So I'd say 5 minutes. 3
minutes. I did it. I looked at it all for the last 3 days. I'm not saying that there wasn't a couple out there, but on average, from the time they emailed me and that comes with we're working on it right now. I'll get you a rate here shortly. And then boom, within 3 minutes, I'm getting a rate over to my customers, no matter what, without fail, every single time. Well, not every single time, but that's what I'm going. And I released a podcast with Peter Coratola recently with Ease Logistics, and we were talking about that in his episode. And he's like, his goal is to get everybody to reply to an email within 2 minutes every single time. I can attest to that from when we were scheduling him to appear on my show. His executive team, like his executive assistant, gangster it was like 7:00 Eastern time. And I emailed her 2 minutes response. That'll work out. We'll get it taken care of. And I'm like, holy shit. Like I wasn't expecting any of that stuff to come, but that's the competitive nature that's out there, man. If you want to win freight, you can't wait 7 minutes to reply, man. There's already 6 quotes in that customer's inbox.
Yeah. It's especially in this market. I mean, there's still a lot of freight out there. There really is. And we're fortunate to see a lot of the volumes. But you just gotta be fast. I mean, the best rate doesn't win the load.
Yeah.
You have to have a rate in line. You have to have good service, but you also respond quickly. Shippers don't want to sit around.
Dude, and especially in my world, right? And in the open deck world, a lot of the freight that we're bidding on is for future freight. And a lot of it is they need to price out their transportation costs to get their customers that product and everything. So it's a massive bid. And I'm like, that's the biggest feedback that I've gotten so far with the customers that we're working with is it's like, dude, you help us out so much in that because you get us quotes fast. And when we can get that over to we can send our proposals over to our customers and everything else. Again, like that's where when price becomes secondary moments with your shippers, that's where it all really starts to build up, because I want to find where I can make my customers' operations more efficient. That's really what it boils down to. I'm not there to say like, hey, you're manufacturing. Like, I don't know shit about manufacturing at the end of the day, but I know what I can do inside of the transportation wing of their operation to find the inefficiencies where I can add massive value to those, where I can take tasks off their plate. I mean, how many times in your career, Dan, or the people that you're talking to now, where they'll openly admit, yeah, my customer actually had to reach out to me 3 times for a price on that before I was able to actually respond to that.
Oh, that's totally happened. I mean, it happened with my sales reps, and it can't be more frustrating. The customer's like, I'm trying to give you frickin' business. Like, respond. Like, just give me something. And you're spot on, like, especially with the freight you're moving, like, rate does not really matter as much. It's service and speed, because if they're working on a huge project, if they're shipping a $500,000 excavator or it's crane unload, they don't care about an extra $100.
Yeah.
If they can get their pricing quickly, put together the bids, submit the proposal to their customer, or know that you're going to be on time and they're not going to spend $5,000 in overage charges because a crane's sitting there and you're late. Like, who cares about $100?
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, that's really what it boils down to. In so many instances, and so many people go in there, and I want to tell sales reps that this is the best piece of advice I can give to any sales rep out there in the freight brokering space while you're prospecting. Do not mention price. Do not mention that you could possibly save them money. Do not mention any of that stuff, because I always go like this. What if they call your bluff and they're like, all right, give me a price on this. I've had this happen to me. And then I quote them and they're like, you're $800 higher than everybody else. And then ironically, they don't reply to you ever again, because you sold yourself on a fictitious number that you can't back up.
Yeah. I mean, so every customer you get on price, you're going to lose because of price. There's always somebody cheaper. Always. Like,
yes.
It does not matter.
Dude, what are you guys seeing? Because you guys deal with a lot of companies, right? You guys have a lot of customers that you guys are talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Where are people at in 2024 so far? What's the general feedback that you're getting on? I know where the market is. Anybody who listens to my show knows what is about, but like, I'm talking about the outlook from an opportunities perspective. Where are they seeing things?
It's trending up. We're seeing overall quoting volumes increase significantly across the customer base, and we're seeing more companies start moving to, like, beginning of last year, companies just start dipping their toe in the water on like automated rating, start with a couple of shippers here and there, test it, and slowly grow. We're seeing a lot more companies just jump in with 2 feet right away, starting off with a large bunch, because one, it's like, you see the data, you see that if you're not doing it and you're manually doing it, and you're manually quoting, your response rates are garbage. Like, it's just the way it is. The best I've seen, if they're manually quoting, is like a 25% response rate. And that's really good from what we've seen across the board. Where automate, you're like around 70%, because there's some you just don't want to quote. But we're seeing it increase. And I mean, everyone has projections of when the market's going to turn. And so you hear something new every day. I have no idea. I mean, I wish I did know when it's like going to be gravy again. But we are seeing an upward increase. We are seeing a lot more shippers gravitating towards that dynamic pricing, that real-time rating. We're pulling rates out of the system. I just had a conversation with a shipper last week, and they're now making a requirement. They're finishing up their bid, and they're saying, if you want to, you'll be awarded freight, but you're not coming aboard unless you have these capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you're going to be getting them, because they want those instant rates, or at least like that low volume freight. They don't want to put in the bid package because those rates are worthless anyways. They want to move those low volume to dynamic pricing.
I think that, I mean, the strategy of business, like customer acquisition, is what you're describing right there. I think is just lost on so many individuals. And like, you literally just gave the case in point on why I tell people that there is a certain level of shipper that you shouldn't prospect. And because it's like, you don't want to get to the finish line. And I'm not saying that if you don't have the money to invest in something like that, invest in it, right? Like, I've always said that about your business. If you have the capital, invest in it. But Google is just as good of a business development tool as a lead generation software. Yes, obviously one's a lot more efficient and faster, but the same result. If you're bootstrapping shit, you got to add dollar to dollars, right? Like, I went to public school, so my ability to add isn't always the best at the end of the day, but I know 1 + 1 = 2. And if I don't have $2 to pay for something, I'm broke, right? But if you're going out there and you're prospecting, like, know what you want to go after, because some of this stuff that you're describing right there is tens of thousands of dollars a year for somebody to use.
Yep.
And you don't want to get to the finish line, because it could take you 6, 12, maybe 18 months to get in the door with the shipper. And then you get to the finish line, you fill out the bid, and they're like, you need this technology. And you're like, I don't have the money to pay for that. What do you do in those instances?
Yeah. And you got to focus on, like you said, it's spot on. You got to focus on your ideal market. A $5 million brokerage that's bootstrapping everything themselves probably shouldn't be prospecting Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
They're going to require that technology. They are a lot more price driven. They have 120-day pay terms. It's going to suck up your cash. So it's like you're wasting. I mean, yeah, you get money signs your eyes. You want to go for those big shippers, but it's just not a good business fit.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, man, because it is, dude. Like I think that people are so focused on I'll just work with anybody that they're going to find themselves in that position. And then, and then insurance on top of that too. What if you get to a shipper and they're like, we need $250,000 in cargo insurance if you're going to even haul our freight. And if you're going to do anything outside of a dry van freight, because there's a lot of food shippers out there that require $250,000 per shipment in cargo insurance. And if you don't have that capital, again, what are you going to do? Like, not all business is good business for where you are currently at. And you need to assess that. And that's like, for me, it's like, that's why you need to work with people like you, man, because like you can look at a $5 or a $10 million freight brokerage because you were there in your last role, right? Like you saw that grow out. I've been there on the ground level of my friends over at Unicron, my previous employer, Unicron Logistics, man. I was employee number like 3 there, right? Mm-hmm. So I saw us go through those early hurdles and everything else. And fortunately, we had an owner who wasn't afraid to spend the money to kind of get us there. But like, dude, you need to know what you're going to go after, especially like really in any freight market, but especially right now, because I think there's so many people out there, Dan, that are like, hey, the market's going to change. Not at the benefit of brokers. It's been at the benefit of brokers for the last 3+ years. Capacity is going to get tight. It's going to get very, very challenging if you've never worked in a carrier's market before. For all you brokers out there that love to recycle carriers and find the cheapest option, those are going to be non-existent. It is going to be, if you think it's hard to develop business now, just wait. Just wait till things flip. And if that's your mentality, like, you have to be smart. You have to be strategic about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to, when capacity tightens up, typically at times brokers get pinched pretty good because capacity's tight, rates are up, but shipper rates aren't up yet. And so you're banging your head against the desk to make a little bit of money and just riding out until shippers start increasing their rates. Brokers kind of get pinched on both sides with that. But,
dude, shippers aren't going to increase their rates this year. I hate to break it to anybody. They're not increasing their rates this year. So if you're going to be a broker, like, I wouldn't be surprised. And I can't say that they're not, because I've seen it happen before where they strike rebids and everything else. But like, I still think that large assets are going to keep taking it at those rates. And the large brokers who have the cash to burn will work for 2% margins, 3% margins to sustain that volume, especially if they're publicly traded, because revenue looks really, really great. And then their stock prices look good. But it's going to be a great balancing act for a lot of people. But if you're not set up right now with some of these customers and you're going to get activated, you're going to be in a really good position because you want to be in the spot market. You're going to be getting all their oh shit options of, hey, just find me a truck. And you're going to have the opportunity to price it accordingly, where you're not going to be operating on a 2% margin.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be very tricky for a lot of brokerages. And that's kind of, our staffing arm, they saw the writing on the wall, and that's why they're adjusting their approach, because the old way of doing things doesn't work anymore. Business is changing. The market's changing, and you need to adapt with it.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't agree more with that, Dan. Like, obviously, so do you. Both come from the old school brokerage, smile and dial, do all of that bullshit that everybody loves to fucking pound their chest on. It's not going to get it done anymore. You have to be able to adapt and evolve and stuff. And especially because it's like, I feel like everybody looks at headcount 1, technology 2. That's what they're looking at. They're like, what can we cut to get away with? And that's one of those things, like with us at Broker Carrier, that's why we priced it the way that we priced it, because like, we don't have a massive marketing budget that's out there, dude. It's just us. We developed it because we want all of that 90% of the market that looks at those line items and looks at their expenses. That's what our software is really designed for, where it's like, hey, you know what? Our most expensive package is $270 a month, right? Like, and that's for all of the vetting stuff that you could possibly need out there. Hell, we even have a free tool that you guys can go and put anybody's information in to see, is there anything suspect out there? Do they have any is that same email address used with multiple carriers, or that address used with multiple providers? That we put that out there for free, man, because at the end of the day, that's what is slashed first. People are going to slash headcount, technology, and then marketing is kind of mixed in there as well.
100%. And that's where it's like, it's, you typically see like, a company's P&L, like their labor costs are increasing like this, technology increases like this, when really it should probably be flipped, because it's the technology is what's going to live off that business. Or revenues increasing like this and headcount's exactly increasing, like labor costs increasing like that. You have to minimize that gap between revenue increase and labor cost increase, or you're just growing to grow, but not making percentage-wise any more money.
Dude, you guys should trademark SaaS, except for have it be staffing as a service. You know what I mean? Like, because you guys are out there like, hey, you can only use this by the dial. I love that. Like, I absolutely
so
love
it could be like night dispatch. It'd be track and trace. We're doing POD collection, invoicing, document recognition for like trailer damages. So all these like different processes where you can kind of, put it down on transactions. They're also breaking out with the standard staffing we have on dedicated employee, where it's more a la carte. It's not like we're not saying here's our package, buy it. It's more of like, what aspects do you want? How much? What benefit packages do you want? Do you need full IT setup on our site or not? So you can kind of help control your costs to fit what your current makeup is. So just being a little more flexible.
Dude, I like it. And you like, at the end of the day, man, I think you guys are getting way ahead of it, and that's great to see, right? Because like, I mean, you led in the show with this essentially, man. Nobody wants to lay anybody off. I don't know any company that truly looks at it when they hire 50 people and they're like, damn, I'm really looking forward to letting go of 40 of these guys in about 6 months. I don't know of any company that actually looks at it. I think more companies need to look at maybe strategically hiring and scaling, because I feel like with what you're describing here, man, like, hey, I only needed them for 15 calls a night, but my volume's increased, and hey, let's increase it to 30. Let's increase their time and everything that comes along with it. So it's like, I think that's another major benefit as you get busier, obviously you already have the person trained up, you already have them in with your SOPs and how you like things done, man. It's an efficiency play, man, where I think it's great. I truly think it's ahead of its time.
Yeah, we're excited. It's working really well so far. And another nice aspect of it is we have to build out the process. We have to build out the SOPs for it to work really well. A lot of companies don't have those things. So you're essentially getting SOPs built out for you.
I think right there though, because as someone who has spent I don't know about hundreds of hours, but like my business partner is a former engineer, right? Like the dude loves to fucking write shit down. Like absolutely. We couldn't be more polar opposite. I'm more of like, just fucking act. And he's more like, no, let's build up a process, which I love him for that. I truly do, because it is very, very beneficial to have this stuff down. But dude, we probably have 80 plus hours worth of training already documented and ready to go. We have 50 plus process documents already built out. So it's like, as we're building right now, it feels like our wheels are spinning. But when we hit that, we'll be able to go from like 1.5 to 30 million in 12 months because we already have all of that done.
Yeah, 100%. And then you're just not spinning your wheels, train people differently. There's no consistency. So you're running inconsistent service across the board of your customer base. And it just limits your scaling.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. Well, Dan, how does anybody find out? We're already at the 30-minute mark, dude.
Fast. All right. So you can reach out, follow Talent Tech on LinkedIn. You can see all the team members. If you have trouble finding anyone, reach out to me directly. I can connect the right people, but I would 100% check out Flex. Some cool things they're doing. And also on the more traditional staffing side, they're changing it up. But Flex is a game changer for the industry.
It is. And this glass, which has coffee in it, you guys,
sure.
Because it's a mocktail. It kept the coffee warm the entire 30 minutes of the show. So if you're going to be like me and just drink coffee out of it, You're going to be good.
You're more of a kombucha guy, I feel like.
What's that?
I feel like you're more of a kombucha guy.
Dude, I've never had kombucha one time.
Neither have I.
You're literally drinking it right now, dude.
No, I'm really not. Everything I said was nice. I don't have a yellow lab. I don't have yoga mats. I didn't buy edibles. I didn't do any of this. That's all complete.
You literally had me fooled.
Typical Colorado.
You straight up had me fooled. I was convinced you had kombucha on your desk with you.
Oh, no, never tried it. It's fermented something. I don't drink anything fermented.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, hey, guys, that is going to be it for today. They put a link down in the comments if you guys are interested in learning more about what Dan's talking about. Obviously, you guys can reach out to Dan. And if for some reason you can't find Dan Hellman, hit me up. I'll gladly put you in contact with my friends over there. I got a guest coming on tomorrow as well. We're going to talk about the market, you guys, but data behind the market. Where are things trending? How are things looking out there? So we'll have that. As always, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show. Share it out there to your network. This is how we grow, yes, but most importantly, this is how we help more people, is because if you saw value, chances are your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you.